Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Shedcast. Thanks for tuning in. It's March. I'm sorry we missed February. It was busy. I had a cold, so I didn't think you wanted to hear me sort of sniffing down the camera. However, we're back with big things this month. So we've just slipped into March, so start of spring, fantastic. Shedcast, it's where we have big conversations with big players in the industrial sector. And today we have a formidable guest, recognised as an influential woman in property, aka, and you didn't know this, the West Midlands Warrior. This lady stands for no bull. Yes, that's right, it's the amazing Victoria Turnbull. Hello, Victoria.
That's quite an introduction, thank you. I hope I can live up to it.
Yeah,
or not, actually. I'm not sure about the warrior part. But...
You don't think so? A formidable character, though. You've always been I'd say a formidable character.
Oh, no, I'll try and take that in the way that it's intended, in a positive way. Thank you.
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
So obviously, Victoria, you're the joint managing director
Yes.
of Opus Land?
Yes.
Along with your...
Richard,
father?
Yes, my father.
And that's quite bizarre because how small property is. Obviously, my wife, Caroline, worked for your father.
Oh gosh, I didn't know that.
At Grenville Smith Duncan.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. It is a small industry, isn't it?
It is.
It's a small industry. And when I was reviewing the questions that you sent round, actually, one of the things that kind of is a common theme throughout is that a lot of the property industry is about your reputation. And you can't be short-termist about that. Pushing aggressively to get one deal done is not going to play out well for you in the long term. And it's a bit like a big family, I think, the property industry. It definitely always was. It's maybe perhaps a little bit less so.
Yeah. It's become a little bit, I suppose the scale has taken that away.
Yeah. I mean, I started at King Sturge and it was like one big happy family and it was a partnership.
Yeah.
And a lot of those partnerships have now gone. I was sad when King Sturge got taken over by JLL. Nothing derogatory towards JLL, but the bones of King Sturge, it was a real family. And I think the property industry in general always felt like an extended family because it attracts lovely people into it.
No, absolutely. And like you say, you can't afford to do one, let's say, bad deal because you'll be blackballed.
Yeah.
It's because of the family thing. It's like everyone has to, there's a bit in it for everybody.
Yeah, we trade off our reputation.
Yeah.
And that's someone that people can trust, whether that's an occupier that's putting their trust in us to deliver their much needed bespoke facility, whether that's an agent like yourself, bringing us an opportunity and trusting that you'll be looked after on the way through.
You've trusted me today.
I've trusted you today.
Yeah.
Make sure you edit out all the bad bits.
No, that's super. Send my best to your dad.
I will. I'm
him.
sure he'd send it back too.
Yeah. So you've touched on it in terms of your history. So let's rewind the tape and how you've gone from small warrior to big warrior. You touched on, so was King Sturge your first job?
Yeah, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do at school.
Right.
I think it's hard because there's so many different options. Even more so now than there was when I was at school and graduating. And I wouldn't say that I necessarily actively chose property, but more that property chose me.
Was that a little bit of direction from your father?
It was, massively. Yeah. I mean, he got me work experience at a couple of property firms, and it was really from that moment that I thought, I actually really like this industry. I like the people in it. I like that it's varied. It's not boring in any way. And so I chose it off the back of that. I went to Reading University. I then went to go and work for King Sturge. I then went on to go and work in fund management at Palmer Capital, as was now Fiera, who own a third of us. And from the moment at which I chose property as a career, I've never looked back. And I'm so happy that I chose property as a career. And I would always advise people to look at property because I think it's a great industry to be in.
And there's so many different sectors, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so varied. And there really is something for everyone. I think one of my first essays at university was surveyors are a jack of all trade, explain. I actually got my father to help me rewrite it. And I got a really bad grade because he did such an awful job. But it is true. Surveyors are jack of all trades. There's so many different aspects. You know, if you're interested in valuation or the professional services side of it, if you're an agent, a broker, if you want to be in development, if you want to be in fund management, there's so many different areas which could cater for all sorts of different people. And so, yeah, I love my job. It must be awful going into a job where you think, wake up in the morning and think, God, I've got to go into work. Imagine feeling like that. I wake up in the morning and I feel excited about going into work. Not always, we have bad days sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say, and there's also not bad jobs, but there's sometimes not the right fit. I personally have gone through that.
Yeah, of course.
So, but then you find your home and you stick with it and
you're
happy.
Yeah, I mean, I found agency hard.
Right.
I found agency hard because at the time...
is that what you did at King's?
I did a rotation and then I ended up in agency. And I found it was sort of fast finger first. Right. And it was a bit of an old boys club at the time.
Yeah.
And I know this is one of the questions you asked me about kind of females in the industry.
Was in London.
It was in London, yeah. So I was in London for 12 odd years. Right. And I did find it a bit of an old boys industry. And I then went into business recovery with a lovely guy called Neville Pritchard, and I adored that because it was really interesting. We dealt with all sorts of weird and wonderful clients and banks that had lent on bits that really, in hindsight, they shouldn't have done. And when the GFC hit, we were really busy. So we were dealing with all the really exciting stuff. Right. And actually our side of the business was feeding the investment side of the business, which was previously kind of the rock and roll industry within the surveying practices. So I found that bit really interesting.
And so that was your first job. You never had a paper round, I would imagine, did you?
Didn't have a paper round. I had lots of little weird and wonderful jobs. Probably my least favourite was at a soft play in Hatton, which I think is still there. And I remember a mother coming up to me and saying, my son's just had a little accident in the corner. I remember at that day thinking, this job's not for me. I'm done.
I must go to property.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you stayed on the recovery side at King Sturge? I did,
and then I started to feel I wanted a new challenge. I knew I wanted to go client side.
Right. But is that where the numbers? So you're quite analytical, I suspect. Is that?
I am quite analytical. I think you have to be in development and numerate. But I think I wanted a change. I felt like I could not do my job with my eyes closed, but I thought I could very easily just comfortably stay at King Sturge for a long period of time, and I wanted something more.
To push you on.
To challenge me.
Yeah.
To intellectually challenge me. And so I started applying for fund management jobs, and it was just after the GFC, and basically everyone was being made redundant. No one was hiring. It was a really bad time. Yeah. And so I went in and spoke to Ray Palmer, who was the guy who set up Palmer Capital, he spun out of Lambert Smith Hampton. I think he sold it 3 times and bought it back twice. And he'd made a huge success of that and decided he'd had enough of doing that with LSH, and he wanted to set up something of his own. And Palmer Capital's strapline used to be investing in people, investing in property. And he's a really inspirational character.
I was going to say, I remember when I was a young lad, when I was and you'd hear about this legendary name, Ray Palmer. I've still never met him.
Oh, haven't you?
No, but still to this day, I sort of put him up there on a pet because he was one of the early adopters into the clever stuff with the finance, putting the property together. Is that right? Yeah. So
he set up a business which was initially, as I say, the strapline, investing in people, investing in property. So investing in good people that then would invest in property deals. Now that could be investment, it could be development. Started off with Rembridge were the first property development that he backed, and then Opus was the second one to follow. And then it was some years later he was joined by his son-in-law, who set up the fund management side of the business. So that then he had a really unique sort of USP really for the business, where he had these really good people who were delivering deals on the ground in their local regions, and he had access to property finance. He had balance sheet money, but he also had much deeper pockets through the funds.
Yeah.
And those funds have gone through a number of different iterations over the years. We've had core plus, value add funds. We've had industrial development funds, speculative funds. We've got a new fund that's just been launched called the Spoke Fund, which is investing in urban mid-box logistics. And so we're very much on the acquisition trail for that at the moment. But having that access to capital, but yet still, as an Opus person, being entrepreneurial,
Boots on the ground,
is a really, really good mix.
Yeah.
And so, Ray Palmer, going back to the story, I interviewed with him. I went to go and have a chat with him actually initially, and he then suddenly offered me this job in Germany. And I thought, that's very odd. Why you offer me a job in Germany? I don't want a job in Germany. I want a job in London. But the employment market was so hard, I almost took him up on it.
Right.
And then I said, I just can't quite, had a partner at the time in London. I said, I can't move from London. My life is here. My friends are here. And so I said, no, but if you had anything in London, I'd be very, very interested. I think I went for about 6 interviews with him because he was so nervous about giving a job to someone who was related to someone in the DevCos, because he thought it would be prejudicial to the wider development businesses. It would feed more business through to Opus.
Your father was running Opus.
He was running Opus at the time.
After selling GSD to...
So GSD actually sold. There was a period of time where he was between the two. So he was kind of one foot in the camp of GSD, one foot in the camp of Opus, just as he was setting it up. And then he left, and the company then subsequently got sold on to CBRE.
Yeah.
It was management buyout when he left. And then set up Opus, was building it up. But again, in terms of...
Making sure there's no conflict. Yeah,
it's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I can understand why he had concerns, but I loved my time there. We did some really interesting things. We did a public to private takeover of Invista PLC. Right. And I've never before nor after bid on a publicly listed business, but it was very interesting. It was a very steep learning curve, but very interesting. It was exactly what I was looking for.
Again, because of the numbers thing, the corporate governance, you knew all the boxes to tick. It was the right lines to follow, because I would imagine it's very, like you say,
procedural.
Very procedural.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I knew it because I'd never done it before, but I think the interesting thing was that, and the thing that I've always taken with me through my career, never be afraid to ask a question. There's no question that is a silly question. And so I just continually asked our advisors, if you bid on a publicly listed company, you have to have a solicitor acting for you. And so we lent very heavily on him. So I was just constantly asking questions through the process, and I learned a huge amount and grew in confidence through that. I didn't know how to do it, but I learned. And it was a very, very steep learning curve.
Wouldn't do it again?
I would do it again. I'd love to do it again if I had the opportunity.
Brilliant. So would you say Ray became one of your guiding stars in your career?
Ray is such an inspiration. And I'd say I probably have 2 inspirations in my career. I have Ray, who, even though he's now semi-retired, he is the person that if I ever have a business quandary, I will want to pick up the phone to him. Right. And I will talk to him at length, and he has an uncanny way of breaking really complex situations down into their core principles. And you'll get to the end of that conversation, and he'll make you realise you knew the answer all along. Right. It was sitting with you.
It's just untying the bow.
You didn't need me, but he sits there in a quietly patient supporting role, and he is very inspirational. And my father's been such a big inspiration. I mean, he holds dear his reputation over and above everything else, and quite rightly so. I think he is so highly respected and trusted, and that's what we try and take through at Opus Land, that people can trust us. We can all do a quick deal, like I said earlier. We can all bully something through, but in the long term, that will play out badly for you. And so we've lost a lot of deals because we haven't put enough pressure on them, because it hasn't been appropriate for us to do that. We've sat patiently in the background, and it's helped us with sustained growth over the last few years. And I hope that we will continue to do that into the long term.
Very good. And I suppose the other challenge, you touched on it earlier, particularly when you started, it was a male, it was, chartered surveying. I remember when I went, went to my careers officer and said, well, I want to be a chartered surveyor, and he was like, oh, what's one of those?
Yeah, people didn't know, did they?
No,
No.
Didn't know the route, had to find out all myself. But
Yeah.
it was, you hear the stories, like when you were at GVA, you weren't allowed to leave your desk without putting your jacket on, and it was very crusty, it was very male orientated, very old school, wasn't it?
It was.
How did the challenges of being a female in, it's got a lot better, I would say,
Yes.
and I think there's massive room to improve on it, but obviously you've been very successful, and you're a great ambassador in the sector for females. Long may it continue to grow, but were there challenges during your career?
It's funny, isn't it? I've never seen it necessarily as a challenge, because being different, no matter where that difference comes from, makes you unique and it makes you stand out. And as long as you stand out in a good way, that's a good thing. So I never really saw it as a challenge, but you're quite right. I mean, the property industry was, and still is a little bit, very male orientated, and especially in those senior roles. I would struggle to name more than 2 or 3 senior females when I started in surveying that I knew across the majority of the property industry. And often those females approached the role of senior leadership in a semi-aggressive, confrontational way sometimes.
Right, because that was their defence.
Well, it was just sort of, that was their way of holding firm, because they felt they had to be like that. And I think that's a really difficult balance when you're young, that, often I would go into a meeting and I would be the only female and often the youngest person. And that takes some navigating, because you don't want to come across as being overly assertive. But yet you want to hold your own. And so it was a difficult balance being young, and I felt much more comfortable as I've got older with that.
You grow into your own skin, don't
you? You do. But I think that the balance has been addressed, or is continuing to be addressed, and I think things have improved. I think we do need to be careful, though, not to necessarily promote people on account of their gender. It should be that people are recognised on account of being outstanding individuals, not because they're male and not because they're female.
They're the right fit for the right job.
They're the right person.
Yeah.
Neither male nor female. They're just right and good.
Yeah, no, good answer. Like that. That's very good. So, for obviously the very few people who haven't heard of Opus, just give me a friendly overview of what makes you tick, what are you up to, what are you building at the moment, what are you excited about? Yeah,
so we are a commercial property development business. We do a little bit of land promotion quite a bit of land promotion in residential and commercial. We're doing increasing amounts of design and build. So I think the business, when it was first started, was really founded on occupier-led work. And it's interesting because over the last handful of years, we're increasingly going back to that. So we're doing a lot of bespoke facilities in R&D, manufacturing and office development, believe it or not. And that's what really excites us, actually. We really get excited about doing the occupier deal. We're doing more and more spec development as well. I mentioned earlier we've got a new fund in that space, and that's great because that helps with cash flow.
Yeah.
But that's a box, we're building speculative industrial development, and that's good, and it's good from a cash flow perspective. But the thing that you get excited about in the morning to go in and do isn't necessarily building a big box. It's working with an occupier to deliver them their dream facility, and then to go back and see all those hundreds of people occupying it, to see the lights on, to see the car parks full. Yeah. That's the thing that's really inspiring. That's the thing I love to do.
And you touched on it there, so you do some office.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. We're doing office development, believe it or not. We've got a couple of things on in that sector at the moment. And I think it's interesting because, post-COVID, we all know what happened. Local authorities are still very much working from home, it seems. A lot of people, however, are moving back into the office. But we occupy offices in a very different way now. We demand best in class. We are building for the future. We're building buildings that are going to stand the test of time. And we're building buildings that are flagships. They're not just, again, an office block with a bit of carpet and, you know, some painted ceilings or suspended ceilings. That's not good enough anymore. We're building a new form of office, and I think increasingly so we will see that come forwards, because you can't build speculative offices anymore and make any money. We all know how challenging that is. And the office market, even if you get a long-term lease to a good covenant, remains really challenging. It is really difficult to fund. Investors are like lemmings. If everyone else is doing it, they'll do it. And everyone wants to do the industrial sector. And it's that the office sector is quite overlooked. But that makes it ripe for opportunities to do these sort of bespoke facilities.
That's good. So would you say, I mean, what scheme are you most proud of that you've delivered so far? And maybe looking forward, obviously, don't name any names.
No, I won't. No, I won't.
But you know, what's you touched on, obviously, in your early career, that acquisition that you did. But when you've been at Opus, what is your standout development, would you say? I think, go on, I'll see.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I wouldn't say that there was one standout development over and above any other. But what I would say is that the developments that hold a special place in my heart are typically those that are really challenging. And, you know, the industrial spec development where you just build it and someone comes along and buys it and then you PC it and you're gone. That's relatively easy. You know, we've been around for long enough to be able to do that. It's like falling off a log, But the things that are challenging if something goes wrong, I mean, we had a 1 million square foot under offer when the mini budget hit. And we were under offer at a record price of £200 a square foot, VP deal.
Wow.
At Prospero, and the mini budget hit, and we all know what happened. It was a bit of a disaster. And we lost our investor. We thought we lost our investor, and we were trying to negotiate. We looked at what we could do to refine the specification, to save costs where we could engineer things. We reduced our margins. We kept engaging with the investor, trying to get them back, and we eventually got them to re-engage. And we got that deal across the line. It was the day before Christmas Eve, and it was a big moment for us, because it was a really hard period of time, and it was a very hard fight to get that one done. And it was at a time when I was really worried what the future was going to hold, because we were heading into difficult financial times. The markets have been all over the place since Brexit. But we knew there would be a sustained period of time where everyone would be navel gazing and there would be a lot of introspection, and there was. And so the fact that we'd signed that and we had that in our back pocket, 1 million square foot coming forwards, it stood us in really good stead.
Yeah. And I mean, touching on Prosperity, because I always figure that I'd say it's one of your standout developments. Is that fair to say? Because it was quite complicated because of the partner maybe that was involved, the land.
Yeah, it's big, isn't it? Yeah, it's big. The thing I really like about Prospero is that because we've undertaken it with some excellent partners, everyone has believed in the vision of the design. We've got a really good architect in the form of Michael Sparks, who have delivered the scheme for us. And I love the fact that you can drive onto the estate and you can really showcase that vision as you drive through the estate. And the thing that's nice about that, over and above the more granular developments where it's piecemeal development here or there, is that you can see a whole estate take shape. And we've actually only got a couple of plots there left now. We've just signed on a big plot to the north of that, which will be coming forwards and hopefully we'll be able to shout about relatively soon. So yeah, Prospero is a proud moment. They're all we're proud of them all, but Prospero's nice because you can see that comprehensive design thread through the estate.
And it continues, it doesn't go backwards, does it, in terms of design and the way that the whole development feels? It's very clean.
Thank you, yeah.
It looks almost brand new, even though it's some of it's
2015 is when we signed our promotion agreement, but we actually had the Meggitt deal was almost done before we signed our promotion agreement, because we had this 500,000 square foot for what was Meggitt and is now Parker Meggitt, and it was a very bespoke R&D B2 facility that we built for them, which have offices on the front. So that was the first one. But when you look at that, it looks like it's almost brand new, and there's a lot of glazing. It presents very well, and it's that design thread that's been taken through all of the buildings, and that's why I think it presents so well as a contiguous estate.
Yeah, totally. So do you ever, when you see one of your developments, be it the first one or the latest one, how do you just admire it, or do you critique it?
It's hard not to critique things, isn't it?
Because with fairness, and again, I see it with my wife, and it's that male-female thing. I think males, I'd say lazy. It's probably harsh on males.
Yeah,
I think
slightly.
Detail from your perspective, I suspect, is a lot stronger than other people's.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
That's what
My husband would probably make it a slightly more extreme statement than that, but yeah, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I do go and look at the developments that we've delivered. I love taking my kids to see the developments that we've delivered, and they say, "Mummy, did you build that?" And obviously some of them are pretty big, and I love the image in their head of me sort of hard hat, brick by brick, building these.
Steels over there.
I know, and I just lift that. Maybe that's where the warrior comment comes from. But yeah, I do like going back. I'm very proud of what we've delivered, but you can't help but critique what you see. And I think in a way that's helpful, because as you move on to the next wave of development, you take ideas, you take learned experiences from your previous examples of developments, and you can improve upon that going forward so that you're always getting better. So yeah, the one I like to drive past most is my first development I ever did.
Which one was that?
Which was First Choice on Kingswood Lakeside in Cannock.
Okay, yeah.
And it had the old pitched roofs. We don't build like that anymore, do we? They're much more modern now, facilities. But I do like driving past there. We've done 6 developments up at Kingswood, and it was very hard to develop up there.
Difficult ground.
Very difficult ground.
I remember, as a kid, because it was
a colliery, yeah.
Colliery, yeah. Not that I'm from Canada, but we used to do antique fairs there, bizarrely.
Okay.
But also the market, we weren't into this, what we've gone into the sort of utopian stage of, sheds are a lot more, not glamorous, but we're far more up the food chain in terms of product. You were developing then in an early stage of where the market is.
Yeah,
now.
we were. It was nothing like it is now. We actually did one of the first VP deals there, which we'd funded with Bridges Ventures.
Yeah.
We built one of the units, and then before we put the steels up for the next one, we sold it to CRT with vacant possession. We sold it for £100 a square foot. That was a good deal for them, wasn't it, now in hindsight? But I remember at the time thinking it worked well for everyone. It was a good deal for us, it was a good deal for them, and it's played out well. But that land is really difficult to build on. It's differential depths, so it was an old colliery that was...
And it went like that, didn't it?
Yeah, there's steep high walls, which you can't build across, and some of the made ground is 85 metres deep, and some of it is 20 metres deep. So you've got this big issue with differential settlement, which is why we had to do dynamic compaction, which is effectively taking a big rig and dropping a huge weight onto the same bit of ground again and again until you compress it, because it's like a sponge and you're just making a dense raft basically over time. Any geotechnical consultant probably will be saying I'm explaining it in completely the wrong way, but that's how my layman brain broke it down. And that was interesting, because there were only, at the time that we started, there were only 2 rigs in the whole of the country, and they kept breaking. So it was a long project that took a while, but it worked out very well for everyone in the end. But yes, that's why I like Cannock anyway.
Right, okay. And I assume you feedback. So as a team, you sit down weekly and run. You obviously run through projects, etc. But it's because you've got a nice. Sort of
I've got a lovely team.
Yeah, I was going to say, a nice, really nice bunch of people here.
Yeah. Two of them have just celebrated their 10-year anniversary.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, over the last couple of weeks, they both joined the two Toms, Tommy and Tom H. And they are, I think, one of the best teams out there. I can trust them all implicitly. And I think they're intellectual, they're good at what they do, and they care. They care about the detail, and they care about what they do. I couldn't be without any of them.
Yeah, and that's testament to the Opus brand, I suppose, isn't it? If they've been
The family brand, I suppose. The fact that it's
right people,
sort of,
right fit, and right dynamics. Because you're not, and that's the key thing I would imagine is you're not all the same.
No, we're all massively complementary.
Yeah.
And I think, if we look forward in time, I really hope more than anything in terms of kind of financial success, I really hope that we will continue to take that team with us going forwards, because that will mean more than anything if we're all still together in 5-10 years' time.
Keep the band together.
Yeah, it will.
So, if a younger you met you now,
she'd say, "Oh my God, you've aged badly." God.
Not at all. Would she say, "Wow, you've nailed it," or would she go, "Ooh, Opus Land, fancy"?
Yeah.
Or could we just talk about work-life balance?
Oh yes,
probably.
that.
And how do you deal with that? You've obviously got a family. Another half, etc.
Yeah.
Is it hard?
It is hard.
Being the ambassador of the top of the tree at Opus.
It is hard, but I think it's. I don't know.
But I suppose it comes back. Does it come back to the team thing as well?
It does. It comes back to the team thing, but also it's the fact that I think work-life balance, when you run your own company, becomes more of a point of integration. How do you integrate your business and your family life as one? Because if you're constantly trying to juggle, that would be quite stressful. And running your own business, I find actually it's more about the integration piece. And sometimes, possibly, the balance is more towards work if things are super, super busy. We all have that in whatever career you're in. And sometimes I have the ability to go off and spend more time and go on lovely holidays with the kids. I've got 3 young kids, and that's pretty hard work. We have a wonderful nanny who we love very much and who's been with us for a long period of time, and I absolutely couldn't be without her. And she gives us the ability to go and function and make our careers what we want them to be. My husband also runs his own business. So
double trouble then.
Double trouble, yeah. And also, if markets are bad, we're both in the trenches. We've got no one kind of paid a constant wage. But we love it. We both love what we do. We're both really passionate about our businesses, and we have a great platform of support that enables us to do that. And I don't think you can do it on your own. No. Or is it they say it takes a village to raise a family? And I think that is the core truth.
You've got a village.
We have a village of lovely people.
Yeah. And I suppose having that support helps you enjoy, it's the quality time that you want to share together, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, actually, the mundane bits of everyday life.
The dishwasher.
Yeah,
Did you fight over that?
Pick up your clothes. You've just thrown them on the floor when you've walked in. Yes. Why are the shoes everywhere? I don't know why I'm continually tripping up over things. So that's not so fun, is it? That bit. And we have more quality of time together for sure. And you almost prioritise and cherish that family time more. Because it's more limited.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be a great full-time mum. I think I'm a much better mum because I work.
Yeah.
And I don't think there should be guilt that's associated with that.
No, I totally
agree. I have a wonderful family, and it fits in well with work. It's finding that balance is an evolving thing. But I think the advice I would give anyone who's struggling with that is try to integrate the two things as much as you can, and know that sometimes one balance will swing more in the favour of one thing over and above another, but it will all in time play out well.
Equilibrium will
yeah.
So by the sounds of it is you nailed it.
Is that what you took from what I said? Okay, let's go with I nailed it.
Yeah. But I suppose key thing for me, and I've always been the clown. I was a clown at school, but laughter and laughing off the silly things that a stupid thing can become a monster. But if you laugh about it,
Yes.
we do at home, and we just joke about it. And
Yes.
What's the problem?
Yes, my son last night left a little note saying his name's Teddy, only Teddy and Daddy allowed.
Oh, really?
Because I'd annoyed him so much. And I think if you're feeling a little stressed and you read a note like that, it might slightly annoy you. But actually, I just laughed out loud.
chuckle.
Tried not to let him hear, bless him, because he would have been annoyed by that. But yeah, you do have to
sweet.
find lightness in things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we all here for?
Quite. Absolutely, we are just on a journey through, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of sort of the workplace culture, how do you champion your team? How do you give them the Victoria Special menu?
Sound like a dessert.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I don't know if they would say that I'm inspirational in any way, but I like to try and provide direction and also empower them, because they all individually are probably more than capable of making a huge success of themselves without me. They are probably better than me. And so I think kind of one thing without the other. If you have inspiration but without the ability to empower your team, it's just noise with inspiration, isn't it really? And so you need those two things to be hand in glove. And you have to trust your individual team.
Trust was the word.
And we've all worked together for a really long time.
Yeah.
Joe and Charlotte, who are a huge support to us. I mean, they've been here since when Opus started 25 years ago.
Wow.
We all inherently trust each other.
Yeah. You've got each other's backs.
Yeah. And, that means in times, you have to give a lot. And then other times when you need things back, you'll find it coming back in abundance the other way. So.
Oh, lovely. No, totally agree. I mean, in terms of, I suppose, challenges, successes, lessons learned, what's been the pivotal moment you've talked? Was it the dark times? You talked about the GFC.
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah.
It was actually. And I think I had a really dark time when I was at Palmer Capital. I lost my brother. And that actually was the trigger to moving back to the Midlands.
Right.
I needed to be closer to my parents. And I needed to help my parents. And my father was running Opus Land, and it was coming. Any development business after the GFC, actually, they struggled sort of 3 to 5 years after, because development businesses, often they have that long tail. They've got the DM fees, long-term projects, and then they get paid the profit, buys them a bit of time. So it's sort of 5 or so years out of the GFC that Opus was really struggling. My father was struggling because he'd lost his son, and I was struggling, I'd lost my brother. And so I said, you know what, I'll come and join you and let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
And I joined, and Opus, we had to do a big restructure where we had to let a lot of people go. And we just had myself and Richard and Joe and Charlotte. And we didn't have enough money to pay me a wage. And that went on for a while.
Wow.
So it was quite uncomfortable. And it really made me have a hunger that I have never lost since that time. But I think the thing that changed was when we weren't having to count every penny, and we weren't having to think, we've got a salary coming through that we need to pay at this point. Oh God, how are we going to pay it? It was when salaries to pay. Great, let's pay salaries, because you want to pay salaries. We want to pay people bonuses, and we didn't have to worry about keeping the lights on. And that, for me, when we didn't have to count every penny and I could pay myself a wage, that was the point at which I started to really relax into my role, because that gave us optionality. It gave us the ability not to just sign the next deal because we needed it, to think, is this the right decision for us? Because no decision should be made in fear.
Or purely driven by
finances, It needs to be the right thing strategically, long term. And we now have the ability to make those decisions. We're on very, very solid ground now. And that for me was a real turning point.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's lovely to hear. And must have been really hard, like you say, you're working for nothing in effect, but you're working for love, you're working for, supporting your dad, the business, etc.
Yeah. I was sort of dipping my toe in the water a little bit, thinking, I'd moved out of London. I didn't know anyone here at the time. I thought, I'll give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, I know I can easily go back to Palmer Capital as was. They were a bit unhappy I was leaving. And so I knew I had options. But actually, having kind of turned the ship around, I then started really enjoying it, really relishing that opportunity. Yeah. It means so much more if you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah. And nice to carry on
the legacy of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is, really, really nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you touched on it earlier, sort of exciting schemes. You sort of, sounds like you're not full steam ahead. It's not, we're just going into, but the lights are on, the route that you want to go, but you've got, by the sounds of it, the capital, the people, the skill set, etc. So what exciting projects are coming through now from
I'd say over the next couple of years, there's going to be a lot on the delivery side. And with any business, you always struggle to get that kind of perfect balance between pipeline and delivery. We've got a lot in the delivery pipeline now.
So it's that tail of development, isn't it?
Yeah, everything we've been working on for years and years and years is now starting to come to the fore, which is really exciting. So I think you're going to see more spec development from us. We've got an in-house fund. We've got more spec coming forwards in our Strat Land pot, which is really exciting. But also you'll see more in that kind of design and build bespoke facilities for occupiers, and working with those occupiers is a real privilege. And so you'll see that the spec bucket, I suppose, is great from a cash flow perspective, and the occupier stuff is really what inspires us to move forwards. Yeah.
And how are you? Obviously, we live in more of a, we're in a green culture. Our sector's moved on a hell of a lot. How are you, improving your offering as a business in terms of ESG, EPC, etc.? You're at the forefront of every building now. You're critiquing them, making sure best in class.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I think you look at that in an even different way after you have children. That you're building things that will be here for generations and generations, and you can't be short-termist about it. And if you're working with occupiers, they don't just want an everyday building that just about ticks the agenda items from an ESG perspective. They want something outstanding. They want something that is actually going to be a real flag for them to wave. They want something that's fit for future generations. They want something built for the long term. And that's what we're doing at Opus. We've got our ESG agenda, but typically we try and move beyond that. So it's such an evolving feast, isn't it? I mean, every day, every month, things change in that arena, and we have to continue to learn and go on that journey. But I'd like to think we're at the forefront of that as we move forwards.
Quick
fire. Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Oh, can I say both, or is that greedy? Coffee, if I have to say one.
Okay.
Coffee.
Right. Filtered or?
Oh no, it's got to be, decent coffee from a decent coffee shop. Soy flat white is my poison of choice.
Okay. Are you a Google Maps person, or are you instinct? So when you go to a site, something somebody taught me, I would say, do you go one way but then come back another, or do you drive on instinct? You know the area well now.
I'm going to be massively sexist and say I'm a typical female, and I can't get out of my front door without Google Maps.
Right. Okay. I suppose there's a lot going on in your head. Kids, family.
Let's blame that. Let's blame that. Yeah, okay, that's good with me.
You're in a project meeting. What's the most common phrase that you use to motivate the team, tell them off? I don't like this coffee, what's going on?
I tend to find my life on Teams saying, sorry, you're on mute. Sorry, you're on mute.
You'd have thought there'd be a lesson now after COVID, wouldn't you?
I know.
Level 1 Teams.
Yes, I know. Yeah, some people need to do that.
Here's an interesting one. And so one building in the entire world that you could have put your fingerprint on, which would it be that you would have built? Could be an office, could be a palace, it could be. Is there one building that you admire the most? Be it location, architecture, use? Is there one?
I'd probably say the Gherkin, because it was one of the first buildings of its type. I mean, it's been followed and perhaps even exceeded in terms of its scale, well, significantly exceeded in terms of its scale. But it was a beautiful building, and I remember learning about it at university and being quite mesmerised by it. And I think it is both beautifully architecturally designed, but also commercially a great success. And it shows that you don't have to have one independent of another. You can build successful commercial buildings that are also still beautiful.
And amazing actually how you, I think anyway, that was like the start of that whole city, because you've got obviously the Shard, the cheese grater.
Yes.
There's some others as well, but the Gherkin was the one. It was sort of the baby.
It was
of the
the
bunch.
first, really, wasn't it? Of that sort. And the skyline is overtaken by them now. I mean, London has a beautiful skyline.
I always look at. I love going to the city. I was down there last week.
Yeah, so do I.
You just take photos. I love it.
Yeah.
Got any advice for people coming into the industry?
I think advice for young people coming into the industry is property is a long-term game. Don't think that taking a short-term approach to things is going to play out well for you. I actually don't think that's bad advice for life in general. But in your life, whether it's commercially or in your private life, always act in the interests of the long term. Always look to build trust with people, because it's only that in your life or in your business will build solid foundations.
Pay forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Well said. Yeah.
Brilliant. So we run something on the Shedcast. It's on Spotify. So we run a Spotify playlist. So you can follow.
I do have a Spotify account.
Yeah, well, you should. I hope you're following the Shedcast playlist.
Of course.
So I always ask this question: what is your motivational tune? What gets Victoria up in the morning? You're on your way to let's say an occupier, and it's a big deal, but you want the sort of the eye of the tiger in you. You've
just stolen it.
No,
you've just stolen it.
No.
It's got to be Rocky, hasn't
Really?
it? It's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. My husband is definitely the one that plays music more than me. I enjoy listening to music. But I'm a bit of a Philistine when it comes to music, really. My favourite artist is Phil Collins.
I love Phil Collins.
In
the Air Tonight.
Yes. The silverback gorilla with his drums in the old Cadbury advert. We all remember that. So Phil Collins is my artist of choice, and I would gladly listen to him any day of the week. Cat Stevens, I love. But I mean, in terms of motivation, it would have to be something like Rocky, wouldn't it? But I probably wouldn't come out punching. I'd maybe be a little bit more moderated in terms of my behaviour. Yes.
Well, we'll add that to the playlist. You can follow it.
There we go.
But that's super. Look, I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
It's been a great insight into Opus and also yourself.
Thank you.
We've met loads of times, but there's a lot of stuff I've learned today about you, what makes you tick, etc. And it's super interesting.
Edit out all the bad things that I said. That's fine. You will do that when you. Okay, good, great. Great.
But no, honestly, thank you very, very much.
Pleasure.
I wish Opus and the rest of the team, loads and loads of success.
Thank you so much.
We can work together.
Yes, we'd love to. We'd love to, absolutely.
But
thank you.
Onwards,
thanks,
as they say.
Yeah, onwards and upwards.
Indeed.
Thank you. Thanks.
So I hope you all enjoyed that insightful interview with Victoria. Really interesting piece around Opus Land, how they operate in the sector and what they're up to. Got another one coming in March, so Double Trouble. That's 2 premieres for March, just to catch up on February. And this week's a busy week. We're off to No Can Do, so where the great and good from sheds and the shed industry catch up down at London. So may catch a few of you there. Thanks for tuning in and stay classy, and we'll see you soon. Bye.